Ahoy and welcome back once again to the channel. For those of you new here, my name's Gary. I like watches. If you're here watching this, you probably like watches too. Now, did you know, you probably did know, it is the year of the snake and lots of watch brands have been celebrating by launching watches with sort of snake themes. And Seagull have jumped in on the act. No surprise really, Seagull is the largest Chinese watch brand known for making a huge number of automatic movements for the global market, but they also produce their own watches. I really like their watches. They're built to very high standards. All their movements are of course in-house movements, nice movements as well. One movement in particular I really like, and it's sort of the movement inside the watch I'm going to be showing you today. It's the ST2100. It's a legal clone of the ETA 2824, although the movement in today's watch has a day-date complication. And yeah, the watch that they've decided to use to sort of commemorate the year of the snake is a watch that they launched back in 2024, a sort of vintage 70s inspired retro-looking watch. The original watch had a sort of no-signal TV dial. I don't know if it is a no-signal dial, but it's a sort of TV dial theme available with either color or a black and white dial. And yeah, they've now got creative with those dials, even more creative, and made them look like a sort of Nokia phone screen from the 90s. Very cool, very creative, and yeah, this brings back weird memories because in the very late 90s, Richard Branson set up a mobile phone company in the UK called Virgin Mobile, and as soon as that company started to sell mobile phones, I bought my brother a Nokia phone. I think he was 14 or 15 at the time, and he became obsessed with Snake. And he'd heard somewhere that if you complete the game, so if you fill up the screen and basically you get the snake to eat its own tail, I'm going to say tail, you can go to Virgin and they'll send you a new mobile phone. And that's what he did. He spent hours and hours playing Snake on his mobile phone. He completed the game and yeah, didn't get a free mobile phone. But yeah, that game was massive, a little bit like Tetris on the Game Boy in the sort of late 80s, early 90s. So when I first saw this watch with this dial, yeah, it brought back lots of really cool memories, and I think it's a really creative, yeah, very clever idea. I think they've nailed it as well with the look, the colour. I think the colour one is obviously better than the black and white one. So I have to give them a lot of credit for originality and creativity, not something you always associate with Chinese watch companies, but then again, this isn't really your typical AliExpress Chinese watch company, is it? Seagull is massive. They sell very affordable watches. They sell incredibly expensive tourbillon and double tourbillon watches. They make a huge number of movements every single year, and yeah, it's one of the reasons why I like their watches. They take watchmaking very seriously. Good quality control checks, because well, rarely do their watches come to me with any issues. On the whole, their movements are running very nicely, and yeah, the movement in today's watch is running nicely, a touch fast perhaps, but decent beat, error and amplitude. And I often get asked, you know, are their movements any good? Well, I don't recall really having too many issues with them. I've handled a lot of watches with Seagull movements, and it's not like they're breaking regularly. Yeah, they've got a pretty good reputation. Now, I don't think this watch is going to appeal to a huge number of people. The style, the size, I think is going to put quite a few people off. The clasp, there are a few weaknesses, although it is a sort of vintage retro inspired watch. I think that's one of the reasons why they've put a pressed clasp on it and split pins. That is very much in keeping with even premium watches from the 70s. You do get a piece of sapphire crystal covering the dial, mineral crystal in the case back though. I'm disappointed with that. For the money, I'd have expected a sapphire sandwich. And I have just been on to AliExpress to look at the price. The price has fluctuated a lot. I've been able to pick up this watch today for $500. That is too much for this watch, absolutely. So at today's price, yeah, I don't necessarily think it's one to consider, but I do think their prices are going to come down quite a bit during the next big sale, which, yes, is actually at the end of this month. So if you're interested in picking up any Seagull watches, that would be the time to do it. This is one of their more interesting, creative, and fun watches. Yeah, I really like the styling. I don't think it's going to appeal to a lot of people, but yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? I suspect this one's going to end up in my brother's collection. But before it does, I should probably run through some of the specifications for you. So yeah, ST2100, 28,800 beats per hour, hacks, hand winds. That movement has an instant date change at midnight. Very, very cool. So the day and date complication switches over immediately at midnight or around midnight. 316L stainless steel. I've already discussed the crystal, a little bit of lume on their hands. Decent bracelet. The links are solid. The end links, well, it's an integrated bracelet. They're solid. And the outer shell on the clasp is nice. Of course, the inner elements are pressed, but I think that is more to do with the style and the fact that it's a sort of retro inspired watch. Very nice finishing on the case in particular. Polished surfaces are good. Brushing's nice. 50 meters of water resistance. The case back is a snap-on case back again, potentially, because that's how they were done mostly back in the day. Pull push crown as well. It's not a screw down crown, so yeah, only 50 meters of water resistance, but I think that's enough. 4 micro adjustment options. The links are very small, so yeah, you're not going to struggle to get a decent fit. I've filmed some lume degrading for the end of the video, so you'll see whether or not the lume's any good, and you're about to watch that. So yeah, I'm going to start wrapping it up. $500 for this watch. Yeah, of course, that's too much. Decent movement though. I do see this movement in watches costing this much. I just think for this particular watch, if they want to sell decent numbers, they're going to have to bring the price right down to potentially $250 odd or so. But the styling is so unusual and interesting and original, creative. You know, it's not going to be for everyone, is it? But yeah, you never know. You might see this on my brother's wrist if ever you bump into him.